Well, the difficulty with this very cute little 060 locomotive is that this has a plastic gear, and this plastic gear was probably press fitted onto this axle. And while it seems tight, it's actually not. It'll slide. It won't slide right now because it's locked to that gear. And you say, well, what doesn't that mean it works? Well, that gear, if I put the cover plate on, put power, will spin this gear, but the wheels themselves are not fixed to it. It's sliding around. It doesn't look that way, but trust me, it is. If I lifted this up, you would see that this gear is not stuck onto the axle the way it's supposed to be, and there's a crack in it. So, what does that mean? It means that I've got to put some kind of glue to hold this. The only glue that has a chance of working is cyanoacrylic. But I'd have to use, it's going to be very difficult. Why? Because if I use a liquid cyanoacrylic, it will spill into these other parts here, and then it will lock up this whole gear. Now, I'm trying to think, is that a problem or not? And I think it is. Why? Because these parts have a beveled off edge, and they can't rotate in here. So if this becomes locked, this piece will be locked. This steel axle in here has to slide around. So that's really the problem. In other words, I can only apply glue to this. Now, unless I go crazy, as I call it, going crazy, meaning I have to take this wheel off out of the side rods, and then I'd have to use a wheel puller to pull this wheel off, and now I'm really risking all kinds of disaster. So instead, what I have to do is try to do a precise glue into the crack, hope it travels down into the axle, grabs on without spilling over into either this plastic bushing or this other plastic bushing. That is not going to be easy. No knowledge if it's going to succeed or not, but that's the only plan I think that will work. Now, fortunately, this comes out of here very easily. And when you see this loose like this, you could see that I can hold the wheels rigidly, and this gear rotates, and it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be locked in. So I'm going to have to clean it off with alcohol. As you can see, it rotates. Clean it off with alcohol and try to use a crazy glue or some equivalent cyanoacrylic glue, but not the liquid. I got to use a gel glue because I can't have it go onto these other parts. I'll be back. Well, hello. Well, I hope you've heard of the phrase 2 out of 3 ain't bad, because that's what we've got here. If you recall, we just finished fixing this beautiful 282 Deutsche Bahn locomotive made by Lima, and we also successfully fixed and repaired or restored and or just lubed and did basic maintenance, although this one actually we did replace a gear on this beautiful 462 Deutsche Bahn steam engine, which doesn't have a tender, or it has a tender. The bottom line is I got 2 locomotives and 1 tender, and I do have to do a repair again on the cab, which you could see clearly there is a piece missing, so I have to add put that into the video. For what I paid, it was successful if I got either one of those large locomotives to work. I got 2 of them to work, so that's a fantastic result. I'm very pleased, happy with that. Fun in doing it. But 2 out of 3 ain't bad, because unfortunately, this very cute little Play Art locomotive has a flaw that I can't fix with the pieces at my disposal. There was a cracked gear. There's only one gear. There's the motor has inside this lead housing has a worm type gear. Then there's another gear below it, a big wheel. That's all fine and dandy, but the gear that was in here on the axle is cracked. It's made of an engineering plastic. It cracks because over time it dries out. When it cracked, it kind of spreads open and no longer grabs onto the metal axle. Because of that, the way this design is made, it just can't hold on. I tried gluing it with cyanoacrylic, But another interesting aspect of this is that on each side of the gear is like a plastic washer of sorts, or bushing, that is an interface between the axle and the slot that it's riding in. Those pieces, because they had no tension on them, are fine, because they were designed that the axle would rotate through it. But because of that, I can't really put on a nice glob of glue to try to hold the gear. I would have to remove the bolts, take everything out, remove the bolts, take the wheel out, use a wheel spreader tool, pull the wheel off the axle, hope it doesn't break, try to glue, take all the other parts off, try to glue the gear, hope that it works, put everything back, and then re-quarter, meaning if you notice, you see the side rod's up on this part and slightly different, about a quarter turn. Re-put the quartering on, all for a cracked gear. My experience just tells me that's going to be a lot of time with a low probability of success. I'm much better off either waiting for another, find at a train show when they open up, or when I look through my various, little tiny miniature warehouse, if you want to call it, boxes of gears and things I've accumulated over the years, or try to get an actual replacement gear for it made out of brass, so that I know if I go through all this effort and I put the gear on, at least I'm putting on a quality gear that's going to hold. Because it is a cute locomotive, and what happens is everything works, but it slips. So if I put the power on, and I've got this, I guess it's a safety habit I built up of always shutting off the power. But the funny thing is, I shut it off so often that when I go to test things, it's not even on. So this has a great power pickup for a little locomotive. It really is worth fixing, because again, it's 99% there. And the funny thing you learn with stuff is, even one part out of place, the thing won't work. I mean, think of a car. You might say, well, the engine's the most important and most expensive. That's true. But you could have a flawless engine, and if one wheel is flat, you're not going anywhere. So look what happens. Now look, see that? The train's making a liar out of me, and it's working now. I have no idea how it's, there we go. Now it's slipping. And now it's catching. Gee, it just wants to work. That's funny. Usually it's the reverse. I'm like, hey, this is going to work, and it doesn't. And here I was saying it's not going to work, and it did. So look, it's kind of working, but I don't know, maybe the glue dried overnight a little harder on it. I mean, it's kind of amazing that it's working at all, and I didn't expect that. It frankly doesn't make any sense. But hey, let's put it on the track anyway. Look, it's not worth, like I said, going over the incredible amount of effort that you'd have to do just to keep this garbage gear that's in there. And again, it's a little harsh to say garbage gear. It is what it is. It's made out of plastic and metal, and there's a lot of engineering science in here. And let's make sure you can see that. And hey, it would be great if it actually runs on the track. You see that little jump? That's the cracked gear. That's because of the cracked gear. I gotta say, it is kind of amazing that it ran at all. See how it's slipping now? So that's kind of frustrating. And you can't just put any gear. You've got to have a gear that matches exactly. So, this is like a partial success because it is quality engine. It's just, there's one part in it that's a little bad. So, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you want to subscribe. It's fun to make videos for people who are going to enjoy it. And, I'll put the top back on this. At some point, I'll try to take dimensions of the gear, see if I have something that's close, see if I find some literature on someone who found gears. Like in trying to find something, I found out that the old Lifelike Proto 1000, 2000, which I now think is owned by Walters. That was Mimi Bear, the little dog growling or yawning. It sometimes suffers cracked gears, but they're a clone of Athearn. So you can use Athearn gears. I don't know if there's any, a gear out there that from another manufacturer. I don't think Play Art's still making stuff. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it still is making toy trains. And again, I'll just keep my eye out. And look, as it turned out for the other locomotives, I happen to have some, a whole hoard and stash of Lima gears, and it was fantastic. Came in handy and repaired it. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the channel, and hopefully I can make more videos, and enjoy your day. And thanks for watching so much. Bye for now.